up everyone, welcome back to the Casual Deck Tech channel, and today I brewed a deck for this guy. That's right, today we're going to be talking about combo decks. It's the first time I did this, and for those who don't know, what is a combo deck? Well, a combo deck is a deck that focuses strictly on card combinations in your deck, and when those cards are played together, they have an insanely strong interaction with each other. So that can be infinite mana, or that can be infinite life. You can make infinite creatures, you can make an infinitely strong creature, you can mill out your opponent. There are so many choices that a combo deck can do. For me, the first combo deck I heard about was a deck that was playing Channel and Fireball.
It's the original combo. It's the first combo I ever played with in Magic entirely. Like, you know, when I just learned how to play and, you know, someone was like, look, Channel plus Fireball. I'm like, whoa, then you know.
You could say, well, that's no fun for your opponent. There isn't a lot of interaction, and you are correct. So when I play a combo deck against my opponent, I always say in advance, hey, look, I'm going to do something special. I'm going to do something wonderful, and then we play a game. And it could be that you just outright kill your opponent and he didn't have a lot of interaction. It wasn't really a fun game for him. So I would always play a game 2 where you explain a little bit how your deck works, and then he can try to find ways to disrupt it. Because when you play against an unknown deck, it's much harder to play against, especially when it's a combo deck. You don't know which cards to target. You don't know really how to deal with the deck. So I always play a few more games. If you like my content and you like watching my videos, well, you can even support me without paying any money. The only thing you have to do is click the YouTube subscribe button so you're subscribed at my channel. You can also click the bell notification icon, so when I make a new video you get an email. Hey, there's a new deck that Bram made, so go and check it out. Always useful. And I also really like reading your comments below. Underneath the video, you can talk about things you like about the deck. You can ask questions about the deck. I try to answer them. Really, your support means a lot to me. Oh yeah, I have something special this time. So our good friends at Card Market decided to give us a little gift. So if you want to win a voucher where you can buy this deck with for free, just stay tuned until the end of the video and I'll tell you more about it. It's really worth it. Today's deck is only going to cost €5, so it's definitely not infinitely going to hurt your wallet. Our goal is to create infinite mana and do a lot of cool things afterwards. We will mainly do this using 4 things: lands, enchant lands, creatures that untap lands, and enchantments that untap creatures. And if we're lucky, by turn 3 we're going to kill our opponent, as we are Johnny the Combo player.
I'd frame that.
Johnny Cage wins. Flawless victory.
What I'm gonna do now is a little bit different. I'm gonna explain to you the turn 3 kill that this deck can do when it works at its best, and then I will dive into the deck and the other combinations we can do. So here we go, turn 3 kill, infinite mana, let's go. So say we are on the play, we draw our hands, we have 3 lands, 2 forests and an island, and we have the following cards. We have an Arbor Elf, we have a Genesis Hydra, a Verdant Haven, and a Freed from the Real. We start on the play and we play a forest, we tap our forest and we play an Arbor Elf. And on turn 2 we actually have 3 mana. We play an island, we tap the island, we tap our forest, and with our Arbor Elf we untap our forest, and then we play Freed from the Real on our Arbor Elf. And when we arrive at turn 3 we play another forest. Now then the fun starts. We tap our lands and we play Verdant Haven on our forest. Verdant Haven gives us 2 life, it's an enchantment, and it says when you tap a land, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So that means when you tap a forest, you get a green mana and 1 mana of any color. Maybe blue. Let's see. We tap our Arbor Elf and then we untap the forest with the Verdant Haven on it. And then we tap the forest with the Verdant Haven again. It generates 1 green mana and 1 blue mana, where we can untap our Arbor Elf with, and we can do it all over again an infinite amount of times, so we have infinite green mana. Isn't that great? Did you notice we have a Genesis Hydra in our hand? The Genesis Hydra is a super cool creature. You could play it for X, and in this case I have an infinite amount of green mana. So let's say X is 50. I can look at the top 50 cards at my deck and I can play a permanent which has converted mana cost X or less. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our deck and we're gonna take a Market Festival. We'll play the Market Festival on the same land where we have a Verdant Haven on. We'll untap that land again because we still have some blue mana open. We now have infinite mana of any color. With this mana, we're gonna play our crazy bird, the River Hoopoe.
I can't believe they made the Wingmate Rock mythic. Huh. Can you do this? I don't think so. Look! Infinite!
The River Hoopoe can make us draw cards, can make us gain life, so we're going to do this. We can draw a bunch of cards and we still have an infinite amount of mana of any color, so we can play all the cards we draw. For example, we can play a Mistcutter Hydra, make him 1000, 1000. This guy can't be countered. It has protection from blue. If your opponent is playing blue, he is in deep trouble. But also it has haste, so you can immediately attack on turn 3 with a 1000, 1000 Hydra, for example. Not bad. But there are other ways to kill your opponent on turn 3 instantly. Say he has a blocker and he's able to block the Hydra. Well, what you can always do is you can play a Villainous Welt for say 58. You can draw all the cards of your opponent's library. You can play them all for free if you like. And then you can just pass the turn. And because your opponent can't draw any cards anymore because you've played them all, well, that's game over on turn 3 as well. Alright, now that I explained how to kill your opponent on turn 3, which is actually not going to happen that often, I want to dive into the deck. First, let's look at the lands. We're going to play 22 lands in total. We're going to play 16 forests and 2 islands. For my artistic choice, I went with the Charts of Alara Island and this mystical forest from Magic 15. I also play 2 Opulent Palaces for a little splash of black. And I also play 2 Thornwood Falls. We first started with the lands, now let's talk about the mana creatures. We play 3 Voyaging Satyrs, 3 Arbor Elves, 2 Kior's Followers and 2 Blossoming Dryads. All these cards do the same thing. They untap forests or lands or permanents, so they can all enable our combo. Of course, we need a land that is enchanted, preferably with a Market Festival, but like we explained before, a Verdant Haven can also be enough to make us enable the combo. I play 4 Market Festivals and 3 Verdant Havens. The following cards are needed to make our combo work and to enchant our mana creatures. Freed from the Reel is the main combo enabler. For just 1 blue mana, you can use it to untap an enchanted creature. Worst case scenario, you can also use it to lock down a creature of your opponent, but I prefer to keep this card, enchanting my own creatures of course. I also play a Crab Umbra, and for this to work you need at least a Market Festival and a Verdant Haven on one land, so you could infinitely untap your creature. But the cool thing about the Crab Umbra is that it only costs 1 blue mana and it will also protect your creature because it has totem armor. The next card is Tassa's Ire. For this card to work you need 2 Market Festivals on one land, so the chances are not that big that's going to happen. But the cool thing is that this card can also work for defense and it may untap or tap target creatures. So I use it mainly when I have a lot of mana to tap my opponent's creatures before they're going to attack me. Now I need ways to go and look for my combo. And I find the perfect card for this. Commune with the Gods costs 2 mana and it's a green sorcery. It makes us reveal the top 5 cards of our library and I may put a creature or enchanted card from among them in my hand. So this is the perfect card for me to search for my creatures, to search for my enchantments and to dig for my combo so I can go off as soon as possible. Another card I want to play 4 times is the Genesis Hydra. I really love this card. I loved it when it came out in M15. I bought a bunch of them and actually this is one of the reasons why I play this deck. Genesis Hydra costs 2 green and X, and when you pay X you reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put a non-land permanent card with converted mana X or less from among them into the battlefield. So you can search for a combo piece with it. And of course the Genesis Hydra enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters on it. So even if you don't have all the combo pieces, it's easy to play a Genesis Hydra for 5 or 6 and go and dig for a combo piece. Great card. Now I also play a lot of 1 and 2 offs that work super well with my infinite mana. Let's start with my favorite bird, the river Hoopoe.
I can't believe Birds of Paradise is in more EDH decks than me. But can he do this, huh? I don't think so.
The river Hoopoe costs 2 mana. It's a 1/3 and it has this great ability that can gain me life and draw me cards. So when you have infinite mana, this is an ideal creature to have. Next up we have the Oran Reef Invoker. It's a 2/2 where you could put a bunch of mana in and you can make it +5/+5 and trample. But if you have infinite mana, you can make it +infinite and trample. Not bad. I also play this little fellow, the Jade Mage. The Jade Mage is a 2-drop, but the most important thing is for 3 mana you can have it produce saprodling creatures. And because you have infinite mana, you're going to produce infinite saprodling creatures. Pass the turn, and when your opponent doesn't find a solution, you have an infinite amount of 1/1 attacking saprodlings. Shapers of Nature cost 3 mana and it's a 3/3. But the cool thing is that it could also put +1/+1 counters on other creatures. And what you could also do with it is you can remove the +1/+1 counters so you can draw cards. So a great strong card for defense, which also enables your infinite mana combo. I used to love the card Killer Bees, but then I found the Unyaro Bees. They are practically the same thing. They cost 3 mana, they're a 0/1, but you can pump it by putting infinite green mana in it. So you have a flyer in the air with infinite power and toughness. Pretty scary, right? The last card I want to talk about is the Mistcutter Hydra. The Mistcutter Hydra has haste, can't be countered and has protection from blue. And of course you can also play it for an infinite amount of mana if you have your combo. So it's one of the cards that could help you enable a turn 3 kill. But even later in the game it's a pretty strong card if you have a lot of mana. The last card is a sorcery and it's called Villainous Wealth. It's the reason why I splash black in this deck. And it's just an instant kill because you can exile all the cards of your opponent's library. You don't even need to play them because you can for free because you have infinite mana. But you don't, you just take all the cards and say, well, it's your turn. And because your opponent can't draw a card, he will lose immediately. Now you see why you're not going to gain a lot of new friends by playing this deck. So this was the deck. Let's now talk about the rankings. I will give this deck a power of 9 because it can do crazy strong things with the infinite amount of mana, infinite creatures, infinite amount of life. I could give it a 10, whatever. It can do some really powerful things. In terms of complexity, I would give the deck a 7. You need to know the combos by heart when you play it to successfully navigate this deck. So it takes some practice, especially when your opponent knows what you're playing. You need to also be able to navigate the threats that your opponent has. So therefore I would give it complexity 7. It's a fairly consistent deck. It has enough combo pieces and enough pieces to dig for your combo. So in terms of consistency, I would give it a 7. In terms of offense, I would also give it a 7. Of course, it could do crazy things. You can attack with creatures that have an infinite amount of power. You can attack with an infinite amount of sublinks as well. But it will take some time and therefore there are more aggressive decks, so I would give it a 7. Defense-wise, I would give the deck just a 5. It's pretty vulnerable. If your opponent is playing counter spells or creature removal, you can have a tough time getting to your combo, so therefore I would only give the deck a 5 for defense. Now let's talk about how the deck is doing against other decks. Against an aggressive creature style deck, I would give the deck a 6. It has some problems with very fast deck because it will take some time for you to enable the combo and you will need your mana creatures to generate mana so they won't be able to block your opponent's creatures. I think the deck does the best against mid-range decks when it has some time to enable the combo or to set up a board state where you generate a lot of mana. So against mid-range decks, these decks usually are doing pretty well. So against mid-range decks, these decks are usually doing pretty well. Against the control deck, I don't like the deck that much, especially if your opponent knows how it works. So it can easily counter one of your most important combo pieces, or it could kill your mana creatures and then you really have an issue. And against other combo decks, it's a 50-50 chance. It's the deck who's going to find their combo pieces the quickest that's going to win. To finish out this deck, I want to talk about some cards I might play. The Maybe board. Pour Over the Pages is a sorcery that costs 5 mana. And I actually left it in the deck for quite a bit. I just recently removed it. It can draw you some cards, but also it can untap up to 2 lands, which is great when you have Verdant Haven or a Market Festival on some lands. Treasure Trove is also great because it could help you draw an infinite amount of cards, but because it costs 2 blue mana to cast, I didn't put it in the deck. Then there are a lot of cool creatures where you can use your infinite amount of mana with. Let's have a look. Wildheart Invoker is another invoker. It's a bigger version of the Oran Reef Invoker and it costs 4 mana. It has power 4 and toughness 3, so it's a bit more resilient. But I prefer the 2-drop. Another invoker is the Bloodrite Invoker. It works very well in the Black Splash and I could opt to play it as well because with the infinite mana, target player loses an infinite amount of life and you gain an infinite amount of life. So pretty cool. You could also play the Ant Queen. Very good creature also for defense. Because you have a lot of mana ramp, you could play it on turn 4. Maybe even on turn 3, and then you have a 5/5 body, which is pretty good, and of course it could also make an infinite amount of insects. But the coolest way to kill your opponent is of course with squirrels. That's why you could also play Squirrel Nest. Create an infinite amount of squirrels that will go nuts for your opponent. Get it? Squirrels? Nuts? Okay, the last cards I wanted to add is a first version of the deck I made splashing with red instead of black. Therefore I play 2 Frontier Bivouacs in my deck instead of the Opulent Palaces. Valakut Invoker is another red invoker that could deal an infinite amount of damage to target creature or player if you have your combo going. And there's also Banefire, one of the strongest fireballs that could deal X damage to any target. And of course, it can't be countered and the damage can't be prevented. So this was my deck. I hope you enjoyed it, but I will save the best for last. Our good friends at Card Market have offered me a coupon of 10 euros. So that's enough to buy the whole deck and even the maybe board all together. The only thing you have to do is subscribe to my channel, like my videos and post a comment about a deck you would like to see, and don't forget to tag 2 friends in the comment as well. Once I get up to 100 subscribers, I will choose a random winner of the 10 euro voucher. And the only thing you have to do afterwards is create a Card Market account. That was it. I hope you enjoyed my video and go infinite. Okay, I've been looking for ways to get more followers and apparently cats are really popular on Instagram, but this one really doesn't want to be on the camera.